Welcome in, you are listening to another episode of the What's Next podcast. Today we're going to be dialing in with Viv from Girls Get Off. Very, very exciting, buzzy topic, excuse the puns there. Going through some more lockdown lessons given that Aucklanders are still in level 4 at the time of recording this, and of course we are all faced with the potential for more lockdowns, so going to find out what they've been focusing on and what things we can learn from the launch of their business. So we'll give Viv a call and see if we can get her on the line and rip into some of those.
Hello.
Good morning.
How's it going? Are we on?
We are into it. We are straight into it. How are you?
Excellent. I'm very good, thank you. How was your weekend?
Yeah, I did lots actually. I walked around my apartment a few times and got out onto the street for a little bit, and there was actually nearly a domestic incident down the bottom of our apartment over the weekend, and I think the entire apartment complex was looking out over their balconies to see how it was going to end, but fortunately the police were not needed. But that was about the excitement of my weekend, Viv.
Oh no, God, very different weekends then.
Yeah, what did you do? Tell me, are you in where in the country are you for the listeners?
I'm based out of Tauranga, so we are not in lockdown at the moment, and fingers crossed it stays that way, but we had a bottomless brunch on Saturday, so that was very exciting.
Wow.
And it was very good, so very different to yours, but all good nonetheless.
And I heard a whisper that you weren't actually spending your lockdown in the Tauranga region, is that correct?
Oh, yes. For the actual lockdown, the countrywide one, I was actually on a plane down to Queenstown, and I think I had the Wi-Fi on the plane, and they were talking about how we might go into lockdown, and then it was an hour into being there we got announced. So I was down in Queenstown, and then we moved over when our accommodation ran out to Albert Town of all places. I'm not sure if you've been there before.
No, what's that like?
It's very small. It's got a 4 square.
Oh, good.
By the lovely Clusa River. Very nice though.
Who doesn't have a 4 square, eh? What an iconic New Zealand venue.
Yeah.
So,
but it was a very different lockdown experience to other ones that I've had.
Yeah, I bet. Well, that's good that there was Wi-Fi on the plane. They must be listening to the What's Next podcast in terms of getting some productivity and efficiency increased across the country.
Exactly.
So let's dig into, firstly, what you do, and then we'll go through a couple of lessons from within lockdown. I've got a couple of questions for you that I think people will be able to learn from. But you've been all over social recently with Girls Get Off, normalising pleasure, empowering girls one orgasm at a time, 3 of them at a time I've heard as well. But you've got a neat little venture going here. Well, it's not little, that's for sure, and getting some massive traction. And it's exciting to see the growth of Girls Get Off so quickly.
Yeah, and I suppose for a little bit of background, so some people might have heard of Instagram. So my background's sort of in the social media space. And then together with my co-founder Joe, who's ex-Hello and Cookie, we came together to start up Girls Get Off because we're all about normalising pleasure, and we saw a big gap in the market for something that was a simple and fun experience when it came to sex toys, and also was not very intimidating as it often is at the moment with traditional sex toy stores and buying things online.
And I think you've obviously, you've got it right in the market because you're getting thousands of sales, right? And 50,000 people, well, mostly, you could probably tell us the split between ladies following. I'm sure there's a few men. I know Phil's a big follower of the account. But, people are obviously agreeing with what it is that you're saying and what you're doing.
Yeah, and I think when we first started having the conversations, actually on the back of the last lockdown in 2020, we were like, there's a massive trend, there's a big need for this. People want this conversation to happen. And there's also a trend in the market for sex toys, but there's the only reason these sex toys are getting so big is because of the reviews, or because of the reviews, or because you might know someone that has one. So there's no one really in the market at the time that was doing a really good job of the marketing. There was overseas, but we could see that, for every other way that we make purchasing decisions, especially as women, say on Instagram for your skincare or whatever, it's such a big part of it, but the sex toy market wasn't quite there, right? And then at the end of the day, the product is obviously going to work as well. So it's quite a good mix there. And then we do have so many women following, and we get the most amazing messages about how to change people's sex lives or how people feel in tune with themselves, I guess. But then also, there's also, the likes of Phil or whatever who love following the Sunday Confessions that we run every Sunday, which is just a bit of fun and keeps things interesting, I think.
The old Sunday Confessions, I think they've been a bit of the secret sauce for the growth of the account, would you say?
Yeah, definitely. We had lots of conversations about, at the start, we really want to start a conversation. Do we want to be fun or funny? And I think we were having the conversations when we had our planning day or whatever, and we've since found that the people want to engage with stuff that's relatable or funny or makes them think slightly differently or makes them want to try something new. And the Sunday Confessions have been a really easy way to consistently open people's eyes, I guess, to what other people are doing. But then we also run lots of different segments that are really value driven, but also make the experience fun as well at the same time.
I guess touching on that Instagram background, which is probably giving you a bit of an advantage in this space, but that engagement piece of actually going both ways with an account where people aren't just consuming, they're actually engaging and replying and leaving their thoughts and sending in messages and things like that. How important is that for businesses to be thinking about when running social accounts?
Oh, at the end of the day, we had a conversation literally on Friday, and we were if we're not putting stories out and we're not posting, we'll see a drop in sales. It's so important for us to increase our web traffic number, which is our sort of key driver. And to do that, we need to be top of mind. And it doesn't even need to be about, talking about your product. If you look at any of the stories that we're doing, we're not going swipe up to buy. It's more about how can you get in front of people, how can you stay top of mind, how can you keep them interested around the topic that you're delivering value around. And then that in turn will, help people want to be a part of something. And then that's when we see sales off the back of that. So it's so important. It is so important.
I guess it's that those touch points, right, where people then know, okay, I've been meaning to buy one of those and I haven't, and that's why the stories are so important to reinforce that, or just break people's attention to hopefully get them to then transition over to jumping on the website, right?
Totally. And if you think people don't just buy instantly very often. They might have a friend talk about Sunday Confessions and they think nothing of it, and then maybe a different friend sends them, forwards them a story, or then maybe they start following us, that pops up, or maybe they enter one of our giveaways. Every different way that you can engage with people and catch their attention is just another touch point before they actually think, oh, okay, today I actually will buy them, or actually I've got a friend's birthday coming up. What am I going to buy, or what's top of mind? Girls get off,
Yeah, nice.
So it's all the little things that make a big difference.
I want to get onto those lockdowns, but I guess for some structural context for people, this is an e-commerce business where you've got a very specific offering, and most people buying via Shopify, right? And so you're trying to drive traffic towards that.
Yeah.
You're hamstrung by the fact that these platforms don't necessarily allow you to spend advertising dollars on the platforms, right?
Yeah, so it's been really interesting because obviously from a social media marketing point of view, one of the biggest, levers that we often have is paid ads, because you can sort of scale them quite nicely. But we haven't had that opportunity because due to the nature of the product that's against their terms of use or community guidelines or whatever. So we can use the platform in an organic sense, so without ad spend. And actually, funnily enough, TikTok ads have just been launched in New Zealand. So we have actually been able to run some ads through that so far because of the way that it's not necessarily connected to your account. A few different workarounds, but I suppose for us, it's been about, it just makes it just as hard for a competitor to capture the attention of our target audience, and we can still use things like influencers. That's been really powerful for us. But at the same time, we then just have to do, it's not just about Instagram and Facebook. We've started a Facebook group. We're really pushing for people to go to our email list because we own that traffic, and we just have to think about how we can come at it from different angles.
Nice one. Yeah, I was actually going to say, because you lost your Instagram account not long ago, right? And I think, we've spoken about it before, and the importance of your background, but actually building out your audience across multiple different platforms or data points where you can actually own that audience rather than just be held at mercy to the platform, right?
Yeah, I think anyone who was using Facebook years ago, I think it was almost overnight where you had, your Facebook business page and you get in front of everyone just as, they'd see your stuff as a business posting as much as they would, say, a personal status or profile. And it was almost overnight that they penalised all Facebook business profiles. So you'll know if you post something to Facebook, no one really sees it. You might have 20,000 likes, but maybe 20 people actually like the post. And so they're really pushing to you to use ad spend. So I think when you're using any big platform of traffic that you don't own, so it's kind of just borrowed space, right? And that's all good, but it's really important that you have a backup. And we were also very aware that because of the line that could be crossed by the nature of the content that we post, it was so important that we do have a web backup. So we've got our Instagram account, which is definitely our main driver at the moment, and that's also where our target audience is. But we have our Facebook group, and we've also got our email list, which when we, in lockdown, oh my gosh, we'd probably gone up 25,000 followers. We've been working so hard at it. And then one morning we woke up and it was gone. And as intense as that is, I mean, at the end of the day, what are you going to do about it? You don't own that. At the end of the day, it's just borrowed space. So from there, we did get it back, but we've just now had to make a massive effort to push people towards our email list, and obviously not post content that was a little bit dodgy, but there's a few considerations.
And
considerations to be made there.
Have people been signing up to the email list?
Yeah, one of the best things that we did on our Shopify site was we had like a spinning wheel. So instead of just like your normal annoying pop up where you get 10% off or whatever for joining the email list, as soon as you came on, you like spin to win or something, and you can get one of a few different kind of discount codes. And that has been massive for growing our email list. But then since the account being banned, we now do, say, Sunday confessions, and we still post those as normal, but anything that's really explicit, you have to sign up to the email list to get those explicit answers, and then they get sent on a Monday night. So then that's just been another way to grow our list.
Wow. And do people reply to those emails on the Monday?
Yeah, they do reply.
I bet they do.
And we've had some really good sign-up rates. This has been awesome.
Have you seen the list? Have you seen if L&P at Next Advisory signed up to that? Because I'm not sure if we've seen any of those confessions coming through.
I don't know, but I think we lost the account on the Monday. And I chatted to Phil and he said, "Oh my God, that was the best week yet." Such a fan of the confessions.
Oh wow!
Obviously, too good for Instagram.
Bloody brilliant. Hey, how many months has this been going now?
We launched in March, so we're about 6 months down the track now.
I think that's really important for people to understand, 6 months. That's so early, right?
So early. And we've, even like Joe and I were having a chat the other day about, because of the rate that our account is changing and, how much effort we're putting in, how many things are constantly moving, we've almost had to change stuff up because of that. If we organise an influencer collab today, and then in 3 weeks' time, our account is slightly different, it's actually been more about we need to move really quickly on those as soon as we tee them up, because we've had a few situations where we've organised collabs and then we've been like, oh, well, that's actually a month ago and now it's not actually a great deal for us, or it actually doesn't really suit now, but we've agreed to it, so we've kind of got to go through with it. It's been really interesting to...
Yeah. How many hours do you reckon you're spending on this a week?
Oh, my God. Quite a few. Like, I think particularly lockdown, like when I was on the plane going to Queenstown, Joe and I were messaging and we were like, if we go into lockdown, this is like our chance. Like, we've always chatted about it. Like, if this happens, we really need to go for it. And especially looking back at 2020 and just the engagement rates in general, regardless of your account, all the eyeballs on social media, we were like, this is literally our time to shine. So it was just like all day, really, like different breaks and stuff, but especially at nighttime. It was just 24/7, but we knew we had to do it because we were like, this is our chance. And we ended up doing like a giveaway a day. So we're sort of organising that, working with our designers. We really went for it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, on those giveaways, I think you did, was it 5 days in a row?
Yeah, how long was the whole country in lockdown 4. We did it. Yeah, we did it every day. I think the first day I had to ring my sister and say I need you to go to the supermarket. We're going to do the treats giveaway first, and then we went so hard. It was so good though. It worked.
I saw, I'm sure, on one of the posts that there was over 100,000 comments. Is that right? Or was it 10,000?
Yeah, so
it was 100,000.
Yeah, it was fascinating. Yeah, I think it was just over 100,000, maybe 111.
Oh, it's just no biggie. That's comments, people. That is people commenting. I saw that and was like, is this legit?
Yeah. I think as well, you have to, it was really interesting to see the ones that went off. And like, for example, the first night we did, we were all also like, we need to do this before everyone else starts doing it because people might take a few days to get moving, but we're going to do it right now.
Yep.
And that went well. So like $200 worth of supermarket treats got over 20k comments. We were like, that's amazing.
Wow.
I can't remember the follower growth from that, but the one that did amazing, what was it? I think it was like a full Smeg set,
yeah.
And we do a Dyson. It was all stuff that we know our audience like love, and we just went crazy.
Yeah, wow. I'm just trying to find the this Dyson Smeg. Like seriously, chicks, eh? They want a bloody Dyson.
Oh, Kmart voucher.
Voucher. Yeah.
Yeah.
Smeg Dyson. That's a big old giveaway. Okay, that's day number 11. You're really getting some traction. Entries open worldwide. 112,923 comments. That is a shit ton of people.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I can't remember the actual follower growth. It might have been, was it 7k or something? I'm not sure. It was awesome. It was so cool. We were like, we've totally nailed it. And I think just little things like, we know from different conversations we've had with our audience or just like observing different giveaways that have gone well, we knew what was going to give us the best shot in terms of the prize. And then secondly, making it just as easy as possible to enter for people. Like no one wants to enter a competition when they've got to follow 4 different accounts. So how can you make it so appealing and then so easy for people to enter and share so you get out in the world?
Okay, so that was the key, right? Making it nice and easy. So what tips have you got for people looking to run competitions in terms of making them easy?
Yeah, I think just the following one account is massive. Like I think when you're growing an account, if you can collab with different brands, that can work as well. And sometimes you might even have to pay them or pay more of the price, and that's all good. But then as your account starts to grow even more, try and do them by yourself, because you'll probably find you might get just as many entries, if not more, because people don't, they might already be following you, or people that have never heard of your account before don't have to, put themselves out, because it sounds ridiculous, but people are quite precious about who they follow.
Yeah. Wow. I guess, for people listening, go and check out the Girls Get Off Instagram account, because there's some absolute lessons in here about actually just how to play the Instagram game. And I think, what you've done a really good job at as well is repurposing content. So whether it's people's replies to the stories and then you're turning those into posts, or it's their feedback, or it's just catchy quotes where it's masturbation isn't a man's thing, you're going to get a lot of people in behind something like that. And there's just fun stuff for people to either like, share, or comment, and it's very, very consistent. So it says there's only 213 posts here, but you must archive some of the things that are no longer relevant.
Yeah, we have archived some stuff, but otherwise we are posting quite often.
Yeah.
We're not just posting 3 times a week or whatever. We're like, we can't use ads and stuff, so we need to be making sure we're in front of people all the time. And when we do post that fun, relatable, maybe something that people want to share, but they won't get annoyed with that in their feed if it makes them laugh. So we're not just constantly posting pictures of the vibrator. We're actually doing things that might entertain them, I guess.
Yeah. Smart. And how many people reply to the stories? Like a bucket load?
So many. We have already started outsourcing it because it's so many.
Yeah. And what? So outsourcing, so someone replying to those people?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are they bringing banter, or are they asking questions, or what's the...
In terms of the people replying to our stories?
Yeah.
Yeah, like asking questions. Like when we were in Queenstown, I got one of my friends that was staying together with us. She was in charge of doing the DMs, and man, she was in the time of her life. She was having to explain what was she doing, explaining to people what pegging was, or, I mean, one lady wrote in where she was like, excuse my ignorance, but what's a rim job? It's just so good. There's entertainment in there.
Wow.
So, yeah, it was great.
Oh, how good's that? Put that on the CV. So you just touched on there that you knew that lockdown actually gave you a massive opportunity to really explode Girls Get Off and get it growing. Is there anything else that you did during lockdown or with the lockdown as a setting that you knew or that you used to your advantage?
Yeah, I think the initial thought of like, okay, this is going to be big, like this is our biggest shot, let's just go. So like just moving really quickly. And I think I was talking to Joe, I don't think either of us had one full night's sleep the whole lockdown because it was just constantly, up and down, and you're just thinking about stuff, your mind's so busy. But also we tried to make the giveaways about stuff that would make people's lives easier, or it was a chance to support local. So there were quite a few things in there. I think actually that big one we bought like a booby mug or something from Artemis Ceramics.
That's
so
right.
Little things like that where we could throw that in there that was really important to us as well. Because, an example of like one of the ones we knew like a KFC giveaway would go really well, but at the same time, I suppose it's that argument at the moment around support local. So we made sure we also gave a giveaway to like it ended up being a bakery or something that someone wanted. So a whole mix in there. And then it was really just about content. I don't know whether we used any influencers over that period. No, we didn't. But we did make sure that, like a lot of those giveaways and stuff were shareable. So just making sure people could share it to stories and so on. Yeah.
Wow. And do you have your notifications turned on from Shopify every time you get a sale, or have you gotten past that and you're like, I can't keep up with this?
Yeah, definitely don't have them turned on.
Yeah.
But it was pretty. Oh, we did use one influencer, and it was really awesome. But it was pretty cool to see the sales coming in as a direct result of the energy we were putting into social.
Yeah, well done. Far out. And so I guess for those people who may be listening and they've seen the growth of it, is there anything that you would do differently if you knew what you knew now and could go back to day one of the launch of Girls Get Off?
Oh, good question. I suppose we would put even more emphasis on something like our email list, and we'd probably be mindful of the things that we did post that got us, disabled for a day or so. That was certainly a good learning curve.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, I suppose it's just that move quickly thing, right? Because when you have an account that's growing so fast, a collab that was going to work for you today may not be the same collab for you in 4 weeks' time. So actually, and sometimes what's the point in waiting? Like, just get it going, And I think I was having a conversation with Phil on Friday. Like, there's some things in our business which are they're not social media, so not necessarily driving sales. They're really necessary, things like, accounts and whatnot, but it's actually not a good use of your time. So how can we put more time into, the stuff that's actually going to move the needle for us?
So your accountant's giving you advice that accounts and boring things like that are not a good use of your time. How good's that? Outstanding. There'll be people that look at Girls Get Off, I'd imagine, and think, wow, you've got the ideal life. You can work from anywhere. You're selling a fun product. They'll be expecting that you're probably making millions of dollars in their head and probably just posting a couple of Instagram posts and the sales come flooding in, and not actually understanding what it takes to do something like this. But, what does it feel like having a business where you can actually work from anywhere and get creative and figure out how you're going to get these units moving? What does that feel like?
Oh, I think it's so cool. And I think, probably, for context, I working in the social media space for so long and having different clients, like the services space is so different to the product space in terms of, I guess, the scalability through not necessarily having to hire lots more people. So it's been really cool to sort of see that change. And the product space is definitely more to me. More for me. I think you could ask anyone that was in lockdown with me. I think two of the friends I was living with were like, oh my God, I could never work for myself, because they saw how long I was just sitting at the table for working the whole time. but it's definitely all worth it. It's awesome.
Yeah, nice. There's a saying that time creates, I don't actually know if this is the saying, but it's basically time creates creativity. And so when you give yourself time, you've actually got the ability to get more creative because you're stopping and you're thinking, and you're giving yourself the space to do that, where most people are so busy that they don't have any creativity because they're just stuck doing all the same things that they usually do. But I think, these lockdowns have actually given people that space for creativity. But saying that, you've got to make sure that you protect your creativity and do things that bring it to you, right? Otherwise, these fresh ideas don't come to create new content and do things like that. So do you have things that you do to ensure that you remain creative?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think if you've got that brain space free, that makes a massive difference. And I think now, 6 months down the track, so when we started Girls Get Off, we were both working in our other businesses. And holy, like when we first launched, we were so busy. We've both since sold our other projects. And so I think now we're only just starting to kind of lean into the flow of things. And we've sort of been surviving, I guess, for a long time. But now we're really starting to, put the foot down and go for it. And having good conversations, being full-time on something and not having your brain and creativity anywhere else or worrying about other people's stuff, that's been the biggest part. Even just little things like what we can do that's more than just funny memes and stuff. Like we've got some good plans over summer when people start having hen parties and stuff. Like how can we bring in a little bit more entertainment and people into what we're doing? So yeah, looking forward to it. But you don't have time to think about that if you're doing 10 other things. Like I'm a big fan of just focusing on one thing at a time.
Nice. There's obviously a lot more driving yourself and Joe than just selling and sales and profit at the end of the day, right? So this has got a lot more reasoning and why than just those metrics.
Oh, 100%. I think we've always been really big on, like female empowerment, I think is the term that is used the most. But when you first get those messages from women who are like, I've never orgasmed before, and like your toy helps me with this, or even reading the Sunday Confessions with my partner has helped us try new stuff, or we've had better conversations, or they post anonymously in the Facebook group and get some advice, or feedback from other people that might have had a similar experience. That's been the thing that has been most awesome to us. Or even, when you're out and about and people have heard of the brand and they think it's just so epic and they've recommended it to everyone they know, I think that means more than that's where the focus is, I guess.
Yeah. That I'd imagine will give you that fulfillment payday inside yourself when you hear those types of things, more so than another unit selling or the Shopify notification or the Stripe notification or something, right?
Totally. And like I also like you can't have like a fun business if you're not thinking about your profit as well. Like you definitely have to be across that, because otherwise there's only so much feedback before you're financially drained. But that's why we hire people like you and Phil to help us, because that's just as important. And it means you can actually do more and you can reach more people if you have like a good business in the background, working like a machine.
Nice. Well, you've come a long way since, it feels like just the other day that we were down in Tauranga going through your plans for, these next 12 months and for the next 5 years and thinking beyond that as well. So I guess, have you got your homework done? Because we'll be due to catch up for this quarterly review soon. It feels like you've probably done it all and more.
I think that's Thursday, isn't it? I was going to look at it. It's actually stuck to my wall. I think we've pretty much done it all, but I better just cram the last bits in if we haven't.
Well done. We don't want to be, having to get on your case for not doing that. Any other lessons from this part of your journey for these last 6 months that you think would be valuable for people to hear?
Oh, good question. I think the biggest learnings for us has been certainly the focus piece. Like going into this thinking we could like do other businesses on the side was a bit. I think we knew it had a really good shot at working, but we probably didn't have a plan of if it did work as well as it did, like how were we going to exit what we were into. because you need the time to focus, and like you mentioned, your creativity will just be the last thing on your plate if you're just trying to get through the day and do the bits and pieces that you think you have to do. And then second, we figured that our biggest driver, the thing that we need to focus on, is web traffic. So how can we use all the different tools available to us and, like I mentioned, entertain people, make them laugh, so that we can bump that number up. Yeah.
So people get on Instagram and share Girls Get Off to your own story. That's all going to help drive awareness and attention, and hopefully web traffic to help the girls out there. Well, this is a deep one for you then, Viv. What do you think's inside you that drives you to think like this and to want to build a business like this, or just build a business in general, when I'd imagine 80% of your friends are currently flicking through the property guide and obsessed with getting into a home and doing all the things that you're probably having to push further and later into your future?
Well, because even a good example, Luke, is I was at a friend's house yesterday, and it was just on the water, and it was amazing, right on the beach as a mount, and I was like, I just think if you can build something that's going to give you options in your life, that's what would drive me more. And options in like a personal sense like that, but also, as we've mentioned, there's nothing, you can't put a price on like actually helping people and, changing bits and pieces of their lives or making their lives better and helping them feel happy too.
Nice one. Very deep. Delay the gratification and provide yourself with a vehicle that provides you options.
Totally.
Wicked. Well, I'll let you carry on because you've no doubt got 1,000 people to reply to on social media and got to get those Monday confessions ready. Where can people check you out if they haven't already, or they haven't commented on one of your giveaways for that Dyson?
Oh, yes. So we are Girls Get Off on Instagram, and our Facebook group is Girls Get Off Uncensored. And what else have we got? Yeah, and you can sign up to the email list.
How many?
To get our juicy confessions, if you like, as well.
How many people are in the Facebook group now?
Oh, I checked this morning. Must be just over 12K now, which is nice.
Wow, that's a lot of people.
Growing. I think just the, when we put up on stories and we get hundreds of people wanting to join, it just what would you say? It validates the idea that there is such a need for this conversation, and it's been like such a privilege to be able to facilitate that for everyone. Yeah.
I just having a look at that now, and 12,000 members. Yeah, 12,000. 4 posts a day.
There you go.
Girls Get Off Uncensored. Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, that's the one.
There we go. So you've got multiple people admin and monitoring that, right?
Yeah, so we've got, we're adminning that. That'll be one of the things that we outsource in time as well, just especially because for a group like that, Joe and I aren't, I use the word like facilitate the conversation because we don't consider ourselves experts, but it would be quite cool if we can start to bring, different guest experts and so on into that space as well, just so, again, it provides more value for our audience.
Yeah, nice work. Okay, well, thank you for your time. It's great to see, people stepping up and doing different things in business, and obviously you've got to look at the financial side of things and make sure that that's taking over and that it's working, because if you run out of gas, the car's going to stop going. But there's so much more to this than just the sex toy side of it. So well done, keep it up, and we will catch up soon.
Awesome. Thanks, Luke.
Awesome. Thanks, Viv. Well, there you go. Hopefully a number of lessons for you tuning in there. If you haven't checked out Girls Get Off, then like Viv said, check them out via their website or go to Instagram, Girls Get Off, and see what Viv and Joe have been working on for the past 6 months there. And I think it's one of those accounts where you can follow it and learn about business as you go as well, because they're doing a number of things right. They're so focused on this, they want to make it work, and they're doing all the actions that are required of them to ensure that they can, make it successful. And they've both sold businesses that they had prior to this to fully focus on this venture. And I think that lesson from Viv there around focusing is so important for all of us, because it's so easy as entrepreneurs and as business people to get distracted. It's just easy as humans to get distracted because there's so much going on around us, and we've done countless pieces of content around helping yourself focus and just removing distractions so that you can apply more focus to your business or to something that you want to go further. And that's exactly what they're doing. So they're all in this and having a good crack at it and a lot of fun along the way as well. Check them out, Girls Get Off. Thank you for tuning in. Hang in there if you are doing it tough during lockdown. Try and keep putting positive things into your ears and looking further into the future rather than just these week-to-week announcements and things like that. Be good, and we will talk to you later on in the week.